Well guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. I'm out of the city today. I've actually ventured back over to Vancouver Island to spend some time with Adam. So he's going to show us some new locations that I've never been to before. We're on the coast of Vancouver Island today. Now we got here yesterday. We got here quite late because it's a bit of a drive from the ferry port. By the time we got some shopping, because we are camping for a couple of nights, so we got here quite late in the day. But we had something to eat and we came to the location right this morning and there was a ton of fog. It really was thick and the sunset was looking nice. There was some nice colours in the sky, but the only thing was we no sooner got the cameras set up and this bank of fog came in and snuffed it out completely. We couldn't believe how quick it came in off the ocean there. So we just packed up and went back and had a beer. And we got up first thing this morning, but total opposite this morning. We didn't have any fog. We got the sunrise, obviously, but because it's blue sky, we didn't really get a lot of dramatic colour there. And without that atmosphere, the islands that we've been hoping to photograph, they didn't look anything special. I did try a couple of shots as that sun was coming up, so if any of them shots have turned out, I'll put them on the screen above. But it all happened a bit quick. I didn't have time to vlog it, so I thought, you know what, I'll try some images before that sun gets a bit too high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get sorted and we're going to continue on the trails here. We're close to an area called Tofino, so we might venture there either this evening or tomorrow. We'll just have to see. But I hope you enjoy the rest of today's video. It's great being back over on Vancouver Island. You know, I've been doing a lot of street photography lately. If you haven't seen my street photography video that I've done previously, take a look. I've really enjoyed doing it and I've enjoyed bringing you some different type of video to my channel. So I'm going to get back and carry on these trails and see what we can come across. Well, good morning guys. You've probably guessed I'm not actually over on Vancouver Island anymore. I decided to come back. Now we had a continuation of those bright blue skies. We didn't really get any great conditions, so I decided to call it a day on that one. Now we did head up to Tofino and it was beautiful. The beaches are great up there, but with some atmosphere they would have been even better. Now we came across an overturned stump and it had some nice patterns on, but it didn't excite us that much, and that's what I want to be taking photos for, because what I'm looking at excites us and I think it's going to make an image. So what I decided to do was head back to mainland Vancouver, wait a little bit longer for the fall colours to begin, which they have done. Now you'll be able to see some of the colour behind us. Now some of that is because the leaves have died off, because we have had such a dry summer this year. So what I want to do is I want to head around the coast. The sun's just came up. I want to look for the abstract images today, but I also want to venture into Stanley Park and look at the forest floor to see what I can come across. So I've came across my first image that I want to take. The coast is actually over my right shoulder, so I haven't had to venture that far. I'm on the fringe of Stanley Park, so that's why I selected the area that I'm going to photograph today, because I've got the choice of the coastline, I've got the choice of the woodland floor. Now, because the leaves have dried out because of the summer, they have started to fall off the trees and they're gracing the ground here. But they've also got these acorns. I think they're acorns. If anyone knows, leave it in the comments below. But they've opened up and they're vibrant orange, but because we've got these dark grasses, they really stand out. I love the contrasting colour there. So that's what I want to capture. So I've took time to look about this area. It's really messy, but if you take time, you can come across images. Now what I wanted a focal point. I wanted something in the centre to really draw the viewer's eye with capturing all these leaves at the same time. So I found one of these shells and it's actually opened up and it's sitting up, raising up towards the camera here. It's got these lovely leaves in amongst these grasses, so that's what I'm going to go for. Now I've bumped up the ISO to 400. There is a slight breeze, very slight, but because I'm going to be focus stacking it, I want to try and get as much detail and get as sharp as I can. So I'm going to take a series of shots because you've got all different layers. You've got the grasses, you've got the leaves, then you've got these shells as well. So I want to try and capture as much of that detail as I can. Tried that image back there, really pleased with how it looked on the back camera. Now I've been searching around this area here. There's some lovely autumn colours here on the ground, and we've got it laden with conkers. There's conkers everywhere and all these golden brown leaves. So I found an image. I've been here for a good 15 minutes looking for a composition. It is quite chaotic, but I've came across a scene just to my left hand side here. We've got a conker, we've got part of the shell, we've got the leaves around those, and I think it gives for a nice autumn scene. So that's the image I want to capture. Sticking with the 1-400, brilliant lens for doing abstract shots. I've put the polarizer on because that sun is starting to creep up and there's some sheen on the concrete itself, so I want to get rid of that and I want to try and darken those colours at the same time. So I'm in at 100mm. I've levelled off the camera as level as I can to make the scene flat, and that's going to ensure that everything's nice and sharp and I don't have to focus stack this one. I'm going to be shooting at f/16. Now I've bumped up the ISO. There is a little bit of movement there I've noticed on some of the leaves, so I want to make sure that I stop the action and I get it nice and still. A bit like my street photography, it's a good example of how to tell a story in your image. You know, you've got the fall leaves around the conker, you've got the shell that the conker was in. So that's another way of telling stories, through your abstract images, as well as street and as well as your landscapes. There's a connection there between the conker, the shell and the leaves. So I'm going to get back, get this shot, and I'll put it on the screen above. The sun's more or less up now, so it is really bright, and I'm making my way a bit further into the park. Now the park is getting busy now, there's a lot of people about, but I'm still going to continue my walk and enjoy the day. I said to you earlier on about looking a bit closer in, looking for detail shots. Abstract shots is great for this type of weather, and I'm in a great location to do that. So as I've been walking through the park here, I've came across this old tree. Now it looks like it's been struck by lightning at some point because there's burn marks on the side of the bark, but along with that we've got these patterns. You've got the really darks where the bark's been burned, and you've got some lovely light areas, but it's creating all these patterns and these shapes. So that's what I want to concentrate on and try and see if I can come up with a couple of images. Now I have seen a couple, but this one in particular is really interesting. I love the shapes and the patterns in this particular area here. Now because I put the 1-400 on, you'll be able to see how close I am to the tree. It's an amazing lens for doing abstract, so that's why it's always my lens of choice. I can really home in on this area that's grabbed my attention. Now the reason it's grabbed my attention is because all of the patterns, and then you've got these 3 raised nodules which creates interest in the center of the image, and then you've got these lovely patterns, colors, textures around the edges, and I think it'll make for a nice shot. Well, as you can see, I'm in a totally different location now. I'm actually in the center of an old tree. Now the tree itself's huge, it really is, but at some time in its life it must have been hit by lightning and it's actually burnt out in the center. So as I look upwards, it's completely hollow, but the outer sides, the outer edges of the tree are still standing. Now I am a bit off the track to where I was before. There was a few people about, so I'm in the centre of the forest now. I've never been to this area before, so I just wanted to have a look about. I was really attracted to the charred remains of this bark, the dark colours. Now because it is bright today, we're getting some nice ambient light coming in from the sky above, because we've got the tree canopy diffusing some of that light, and it's just highlighting the edges and the patterns that's been left behind when this tree's burnt out. So what I want to do is I've actually located the cleanest area where I've got a nice pattern, a nice chance of an abstract image, and that's what I want to go for. So I'm actually photographing just above my head there to my left hand side, using the 1-400, getting in nice and close on that detail, discarding any debris, because on parts of the tree there is cobwebs and bits of debris, so I picked the cleanest part. So this is basically the composition I'm going to go for. You'll be able to see how I've picked the cleanest area of the burnt out bark here, and you'll be able to see the highlights on the edges, and it's just really interesting. It's different, and that's what you got to do when you photograph an abstract. You've just got to look for things out of the ordinary. It captured it, and when you get back you might be surprised. And it's a good way of showing you when you get those bright conditions, there's always images there to photograph. Well guys, I've made my way out the forest. I wasn't really coming across anything else in the forest. I had a good walk around the trails to see what I could come across, and I wasn't coming across anything. Now the sunlight's got pretty bright over the other side, so I've headed back towards the coast, hoping to get some abstract on the beach, but the tide's actually high tide now, so I'm not going to be able to capture anything down there. But I've had an absolute wonderful day, and I hope it's been enjoyable for you too. We've got a couple of images that I like this morning because of those autumnal colours, and then we tried on the side of the trees there. We've got that burnt out tree, tried an abstract. So I hope it gave you some insight into what I look for in these bright conditions. Now over on Vancouver Island it was particularly hard because we were on the coast, and the fact that we were on the coast we didn't have any tree canopy or anything like that to block out some of the sun. You know, it was really wide open. We just had blue sky, so it was hard to come across images. Now we went to Tofino later in the day, same again, bright blue skies. Now the beaches there were pretty sparse. We didn't have those dark contrasty colours in the sand like we had at San Joseph Bay. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link above. So I called it a day and decided to come back to mainland Vancouver, continue with this video. Now it is my 100th video. I couldn't have done it without you guys, so I've got to thank everyone for your continuing support, watching my videos, enjoying my images, and it's been an absolute joy bringing them as well. So what I've decided to do is have a slow walk back. It's getting a bit noisy now, all the seaplanes are taking off, so I'm going to have a slow walk back up the coast. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Leave a comment below, let us know your thoughts on today's video. I'm always interested to see what you think of the video along with me images. But from me and Stanley Park, until next time, thanks for watching, bye bye.